So this was the biggest episode of Impact in years, and coming out of this historic episode, I mean, there's one burning question that I still need answered, and it was set up last week. Did Fowler Bar get his money back from Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steeles? I mean, I need to know. Okay, I don't really need to know.
Welcome to Impact Oversell! Here is your host, Shafqat, aka Chef.
Hello world, Impact Wrestling owns the night, and the Impact Nation has an all-elite city. The December 8th, 2020 episode of Impact is in the books, and what an episode it was. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Impact Oversell. My name is Shafqat, and I'm going to give you a rundown of this historic episode and give you my thoughts. If you are new here, you can listen to Impact Oversell wherever you get your podcasts, and also on YouTube. And if you are listening on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That would be amazing. And you can also subscribe to Impact Oversell wherever you get your podcasts. I would love to know your thoughts as well. You can reach me directly on Twitter at Impact Oversell, so follow the show, aka me, at Impact Oversell on Twitter. Leave a comment on YouTube or email feedback@impactoversell.com. Okay, is that all the plugs? Who am I asking? It's only me here. Right, I'm just so hyped, as you can probably tell. I mean, as all of you, I'm sure we're just super excited to watch this episode, and I'm still hyped coming out of this episode. Initially, to be honest with you, when the episode started, and there was no intro, there was no titles from Impact, We Own the Night. There was none of that. There was no rundown of the card when we joined Josh Matthews and Madison Rayne for the first time from the commentary area. So it was almost like, ooh, All Elite Wrestling Kenny Omega's here. All Elite Wrestling Kenny Omega's here. Did you know All Elite Wrestling Kenny Omega's here? Forget our introduction. Forget what's coming up on our card. All Elite Wrestling Kenny Omega's here. That initially got me a bit worried. And what a way to kick off the show in terms of wrestling, with Chris Sabin going one-on-one with Josh Alexander, one of the Motor City Machine Guns against one half of the North. And a great match, a good match to kick off the show. Even if this wasn't the original plan and it was edited to be this way, brilliant move. This show overall just showcased the wrestling that Impact delivers solidly for the most part every single week. And the big talking point coming out of this is the apparent dysfunction or breakdown of Josh Alexander and Ethan Page of the North. The match ending when Ethan Page was basically shouting at Josh Alexander, telling him not to go for any more elbow shots and to just drop Chris Sabin on his head. Josh Alexander is annoyed. He says, "I know what to do." He is a wrestler, you know. What do you think he's going to do, Ethan? But Ethan's dysfunctional. Well, not dysfunctional. He's not really been himself. He's been more hyped himself. That moment then allows Chris Sabin to get a jackknife cover onto Ethan Page, and he loses the matchup. And where do they go from here? Ethan Page is possibly leaving. I saw the thumbnail of his latest blog said something like it's possibly his last Impact Wrestling blog. So going off that, his contract's still up in the air. We've got the AEW set up, so if he renews his contract, can he keep the North together? Potentially go team up against tag teams in All Elite Wrestling. Intriguing ending. I am an Ethan Page fan. I do like him, so it'll be interesting to see where these two go from here. But yeah, a good match, a solid match to kick off the show. And it's sort of like Impact Wrestling Open Day. It's like, hey, all you guys watching All Elite, maybe most of you, some of you used to be fans of us, here's what we are like now. So it was a showcase episode for Impact, and yeah, it was a good way to kick off the show. We go to Josh Matthews and Madison Rayne. And I loved Madison's line here where she said, it doesn't make sense in terms of the rules that we know to be true about professional wrestling. Literally anything can happen going forward. I love that. That just summed it up. And I also like the fact when Josh Matthews stated at some point he will be called to the bus for his interview. So it gives that hook like, oh wait, it can happen at any time. Obviously it ended up in the main event slot. Perfect. Showcases stuff. The draw, leave that till the end of the show. So I did really like, but I love that line from Madison, and I really like the fact from Josh when he said at some point he'll be called up, leaving that unpredictable element. And Josh Matthews, I think in the commentary, I mean, I like Josh Matthews. He's loyal to Impact, and I do like him. I know there's others out there that really don't like his commentary. I think there's sort of a different vibe coming from Josh Matthews and Manager Rain on this episode. And I really loved where Josh Matthews was filling in the gaps, the details for people watching Impact for the first time in a while, or maybe just new viewers overall. With some like the backstory and just drawing an overall picture going into the matches. I did like that. Tony Khan, AEW president, then made his appearance via an advert that they purchased along with Tony Schiavone. I like this. If you've been following Impact for a while, you would have remembered that there was a storyline once with the following message brought to you by the friends of AJ Styles. Yeah, it just for some reason it reminded me of that. But yeah, no, I like this. It demonstrated what was going to happen on All Elite Wrestling, and Tony Khan acknowledging that, hey, he could have stopped this. He could have said Kenny Omega was in breach of his contract, and he's inviting Don Callis onto Dynamite. They've heard there's some tag teams in Impact that he might keep an eye on, and that, you know, there's rumours out there that he might buy Impact. Cue collective gasp from all the Impact Nation. No, we don't want that. I definitely don't want that anyway. But yeah, and then Tony Schiavone working for TNA as it was then for one night, then he quit the business for 18 years. That just made me laugh as well. Don't know why, it's just I guess you could just read it as, I don't want to do this anymore. One day was enough for him. Yeah, good stuff there. Again, the cross-promotion stuff, you can imagine something similar maybe happening on Impact, on Dynamite. Could Scott D'Amore buy some airtime? Who knows? We'll wait and see. Up next, Brian Myers, who I've called previously the most professional idiot because he's a heel, and then his toy drive was promoted, and I can't really call him the most professional idiot now, can I? At least not for this episode. I say the most professional idiot in like a good way. He's a heel, he's supposed to get that reaction. It just came from when he was pushing around Swoggle a while back in a couple of episodes. He gets a clothesline in the end to get the win over TJ Perkins, TJP, and you can clearly see that Brian Myers' knee was hurting. He's probably selling it, but I don't think it was legitimately hurt. But yeah, solid finish in the matchup with the clothesline, and Josh Matthews alluded to that he couldn't tell from the camera angle if TJP's foot was under the rope. From the shot of the pin, he couldn't really tell, but when it went to the wide shot, it looked like his leg and foot was too far away from the rope anyway. And we go to Cody Deaner, or we've had Moose 2.0 with a more serious Moose, Killer Moose. Cody Deaner 2.0, Cody Deaner serious mode, making Cousin Jake promising that he won't get involved whatever happens with his match against Eric Young. I like this. It's following the setup from last week, but it introduces more serious Cody Deaner, the backstory with Eric Young. It's great. It's a different side to Cody Deaner. Maybe we're going to get a different side to Cousin Jake as well. Is this a complete repackaging of the Deaners? Maybe not. Not at this stage anyway. Is that the plan? I'm not sure, but would I be against seeing that? No, it's like you can have a more serious Cody Deaner. He's done the Wrestle House stuff, he's been in that, he's been in the comedy skits, and this is him now showcasing what he can do in the serious role when he's got... I appreciate it, because it's like Cody Deaner has a backstory, Eric Young, and he's like, no, forget this. You know, no more giver, no more Deaner stuff, just full on serious mode. I need to prove that I am not a nobody. In the eyes of Eric Young anyway. Good for you, Cody. Yeah, I like it. Rohit Raju rubbing it in the face of TJP again that he can't challenge him for the X Division Championship in the final Defeat Rohit Challenge of 2020, which will take place at Final Resolution. Very interesting line from TJP at the end of this, where he wished Rohit Raju good luck. So who's going to turn up for Final Resolution on Saturday? Oh, who could it be? My mind now naturally goes to someone in All Elite, but again, the show's already recorded. All the episodes now actually recorded for the remainder of the year. They could edit in something with another star from All Elite, but I doubt at this early stage that anything like that is going to be happening. I'm just trying to think. It's like TJP was a Crazy Steve. Here's a wild card, Austin Aries. He dressed up as Suicide One, unmasking himself as Suicide. I don't know, that's obviously a complete guess, but yeah, it'll be interesting to find out who that is that's going to take on Rohit at the Defeat Rohit Challenge at Final Resolution. So next up was the matchup with Cody Deaner going one-on-one with Eric Young. Eric Young being accompanied by Joe Daring, the cowboy, Joe Daring. Oh wait, that was James Storm's gimmick. And you've got Cousin Jake obviously in the corner of Cody Deaner. And Cody Deaner, again, during the match, saying to Eric Young that he's not a nobody. Cody in the end was at the top rope, and I think he's telling Cousin Jake not to get involved. That delay at the top of the turnbuckle caused Eric Young to get the better of Cody Deaner, and he had an Eric Young power driver, and we had an Eric Young power driver to end the matchup, and immediately Josh got onto this straight as well. Post-match beatdowns coming, there's going to be double power drivers possibly, and cue the music of Rhino with a lead pipe. And I loved it when Madison Rayne pointed out that it was looking like Joe Doring he didn't care, he was ready to go in and fight Rhino, even though he had a lead pipe. Now the question this brings to my mind, as I'm sure everybody else watching this thought, who's the third person now? Is there going to be a third person joining the Deaners to go against Rhino, Eric Young, Joe Doring? Another mysterious element. Could it be Heath? Here's another left field. Heath, not yet signed, turns on Rhino. Okay, maybe not, but imagination runs wild. Who knows? We'll find out shortly, I guess. The only real comedy of the night was up next. Johnny Bravo, quite rightly stating Larry D should be in jail for attempted murder. Larry D still insisting it was a setup. There's a matchup now with Larry D against Tommy Dreamer. If Larry wins, he goes to Dreamer, presumably to the police, apparently. If he wins, he walks away. And AC Romero, like, you mean to tell me in a wrestling match you can walk away and be a free man if he wins? Can you do that? Tommy Dreamer's like, yes. Now what I liked about this was you've got this bigger audience, we can safely say, that watched the episode. We know that a bigger audience certainly watched it on Twitch, assuming that's going to carry over the TV ratings in the States and here in the UK as well on Free Sports. The comedy was kept to a minimum, which is probably why we didn't get the conclusion of if Fowler Bar got the money back from Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz, because that obviously fit in the Kenny Omega section obviously as well. But what I loved was that after this, it was almost like Tommy Dreamer went, okay, comedy bit done, sitting down with Scott Timor, serious mode. He's concerned about Kenny Omega being here and what's going to happen to the company going forward, that he's lived through this sort of stuff before and it doesn't work out, and that Don Callis is in it for himself. Scott Timor going through the timeline on Twitter or whatever he was doing, happy with the extra eyes on the product, so clearly he's happy. But Tommy's voiced his concern there. The virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo with Kimberly was up next against my favourites for the Women's Knockout Tag Team Tournament as the winners. Come on, Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary. Loved the green matching attire here from both of them. That was great. Tag team vibes. And there were plugs for Turning Point and Hard to Kill throughout the episode actually. Obviously the final of this tournament happening at Hard to Kill in January. Just great showcase for Impact. Hey, this is us tonight. Here's what's coming up on Saturday. Here's what we've got Hard to Kill in January. Really nicely done. Complete opposite actually of what happened, I think, when there was a Monday Night Special early on in the Hulk Hogan early on in the Hulk Hogan and Bischoff era, where they're on Monday night but there's nothing about what night they're normally on, where you can tune in next time or what night, etc, etc. Clearly this was the complete opposite. We're here on Tuesday night, Final Resolution Saturday, Hard to Kill January, merchandise plugs. Very well put together, very well nicely together. So yes, I do want Rosemary and Taya to win this tournament, because personally I'm just a huge Rosemary fan. And Rosemary has a spot in the matchup where she gets up, resurrected if you will. That gave the opportunity for Rosemary and Taya to block the kicks coming from Kimberly and Deonna Purrazzo. They were pushed into splits. Deonna inadvertently kicked Kimberly and a spear followed by Rosemary. Once Taya booted Deonna to the floor outside of the ring, allowed Rosemary to get a double underhook slam for the win. And I just loved at the end when Rosemary just like stroking Kimberly, like, go to sleep, you are done, the demon has dealt, we have dealt with you. Nice touch there. And they're progressing forward in the tournament. Would love to see them win it. Come on Rosemary and Taya, you've got this. I would love them to be the Women's Knockout Tag Team Champions. Would be great. Backstage, and Alicia doesn't have time for Tenille anymore, as she's too busy with what's going on with Eddie Edwards, who got attacked by Sami Callihan a couple of weeks ago. So she's now out of the team, and Tenille's going to teach her a lesson later. Should be an entertaining matchup between all parties involved going forward. Gianna is next to speak to Scott Timor, and she's stating she's got far too much on her plate, with all she's had to deal with. And I really like to hear, instead of following Scott D'Amore blindly, where Scott D'Amore sort of like seems to side with the wrestlers that are coming to complain with him, she said partway through, Scott, she asked partway through, Scott, what are you getting at here? Liked that. I really like that. And so she's now facing Rosemary for the Women's Knockout Championship at Final Resolution, and I would love Rosemary to win. Hey, I'm a Rosemary fan, as I said just before, but probably not going to happen as much as I would like to see it happen. And Deonna is done, she says. Deonna to AEW confirmed? No. But yeah, maybe she won't be that focused in the matchup and Rosemary could steal a win. Oh, the possibilities are endless. We cut to the ring and Sami Callihan is back, stating he's the draw. He's carried the company on his back. He's the highest rated Impact wrestler of all. And he wanted the footage of that infamous baseball bat incident. And he wanted to roll the footage from the recent episode of him attacking Eddie Edwards. But hey, Alicia comes out, which allows Eddie Edwards to come in from behind as he got into the ring, attack Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan crawls towards the baseball bat, but Eddie Edwards blocks it. He puts his foot on the bat, foot on Sami's arm. Gets Sami Callihan out of the ring, and Sami Callihan's out of there. So this rivalry has been reignited, as they like to mark it as sometimes. Why exactly? And Eddie Edwards was in backstage later. Eddie Edwards was really hyped. Is he going back to Crazy Eddie? No. He's not going back to Crazy Eddie. He doesn't actually literally want to kill Sami Callihan this time. He's just pumped up, excited to get his part revenge, I guess. Is this feud going to benefit both parties going forward? Is it because they've got nothing for them to do at the moment? I'm sure they can tell us again a great story in the ring like they've done before. Let's see how the matches, I assume matches, or maybe just one match goes between the two of them. Chris Bay going one-on-one with Moose, with the absence of Moose Cam in the backstage segment earlier in the show, which I've inadvertently not acknowledged. And Chris Bay wanted to have a strategy talk with Moose. Moose says his fists do the talking. It's Moose 2.0. He's serious. No more Jolly Moose. Liked it. Hey, maybe he'll team with Cody Deaner. The matchup here ends with Moose, as he's done in recent matches, just constant elbows to Willie Mack. But the difference is this time is that Rich Swann goes after Moose, stopping this attack on Willie Mack. They're out of the ring. Bay then takes his opportunity to pin Willie Mack and gets the win. Rich Swann after this was stopped from going to the car park because he's not on the list. He instantly assumed the champion the security guard was referring to was Moose, not Kenny Omega. Didn't even cross his mind about Kenny Omega and AEW. Josh Matthews goes ahead, because his name's on the list, to interview the two. Rich Swann isn't happy. So even at this very early stage, those seeds have been planted. Rich Swann, Kenny Omega, possibly happening down the line. It's not going to be next week. It's going to probably be a snow build. Snow build? It's probably going to be a slow build. Probably going to happen at Hard to Kill. Who knows? But yeah, Rich Swann wasn't happy. The Impact champion, not on the list. Not recognised as a real champion. Very interesting. Those seeds have been planted. So the big segment we were all waiting for, what everybody tuning in was waiting for. Don Callis, Kenny Omega, interviewed by Josh Matthews. I did like this. Don Callis' explanation of going way back, given the history that he was trained by the Golden Sheik, Kenny's uncle. He trained Don Callis, introduced him to Kenny as a 10-year-old. Basically, Don Callis and Kenny Omega are family, and the reminder that Don Callis, booked him against Chris Jericho in the Tokyo Dome, which gave birth to AEW. Tony Khan has said. Don Callis says, "You're welcome to all of you that enjoy AEW." They made that happen. And what I loved here was when Josh Matthews was trying to ask Kenny Omega if his legacy's been tarnished over how he won the All Elite Wrestling Championship. Brilliant, logical explanation. If you've seen your father figure getting stricken down, what would you do? You go in and strike down that guy. And they're in Impact because they can. And here's the thing. A lot of stuff was said, a lot of stuff wasn't said. Very vague. Kenny Omega likes collecting comic books, he got out of it. He wants to add an X-Men #1 to his collection, Spider-Man #1 to his collection. Maybe that's the Impact World Championship, he says. You guys have a great champion here, right? Don Callis says, fantastic champion. Don stating, we've got titles here, you could take one of those, carry those around. But now, for now, they've got to get to Jacksonville to be on Dynamite for a big announcement. So again, the crossover. We'll tune into Impact and tune into All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. Anything can literally happen. This is in the very early stages. Come January, that's probably once we've got the new footage filmed, the complete new footage filmed, not just post edits like this was. We'll probably see how this is going to build, how this is going to move going forward. So Kenny Omega is going to be a belt collector. So he's going to be, we've got the seeds planted with Rich Swann. We've had a belt collector before with Austin Aries with the multiple championships in various organizations he held, but now Impact Wrestling and All Elite Wrestling are now in the same universe. The Impact, as I said at the top of the show, the Impact Nation now has an All Elite city. The possibilities are just crazy for this going forward. But this, I think it lived up to the hype. It explained what was going on, it did what it needed to do, but the episode overall was a showcase for what Impact can do. And Hard to Kill was mentioned, yes, and they built up more towards Final Resolution as well, as it was to go home show for the Final Resolution. This whole thing has been a great marketing move. It's just been brilliant. The new eyes that are going to be on the product, how many of them are going to come out the following week? We will find out, but this episode for me definitely gets a thumbs up. There were good matches. It delivered what it needed to do with more eyes on the product than there has been before, at least in recent years, we can probably safely say. Now, are there going to be best of episodes for the last 2 weeks of December? We've yet to officially find out. We've got Final Resolution this Saturday. Is there going to be anything added into that show? Obviously, there's going to be back and forth between this show and Dynamite, so we're going to see what's going to happen on Dynamite as well. The intrigue is there. The hook was at the start of the show for this main event segment. I think it delivered and did what it needed to do. Kenny's got goals of collecting belts. There's titles available in Impact. Rich Swann's being disrespected. Tag teams hint by Tony Khan of looking at the tag teams in Impact Wrestling. This is in the very, very early stages. This isn't going to be an instant, you're going to get everything here right now thing. It's going to build up. And how it's all going to unfold, I am here for the ride. And really enjoyed this episode. A big thumbs up from me on this. And let's see what's going to happen going forward. Let's see what's going to happen at Final Resolution. Very excited. This whole cross-calibration, this partnership, call it whatever you want to. Impact Nation, All Elite City, Impact Wrestling, All Elite Wrestling in the same universe. I'm here. I'm here for the ride, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. Right, that is this episode of Impact Oversell. Thank you so much for tuning in again. If you haven't already, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow at Impact Oversell on Twitter. Like the video on YouTube if you're listening on YouTube. Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. That would be amazing. My name is Shafqat. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe and have a groovy day.